Would you all please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, yeah, well, thank you all. And with that, I'll call the select board of the town of Damerscott up to order for our regular meeting for September 17th. Before we get started, I think there's only one addition. We have a check that came in for a donation that I'd like to throw under official action items. Everybody's okay with that? We put one. Somebody bring in donations, so I don't think that'd be no objections to that, okay? Yeah,
You can put it right at the top of the.
Put it at the top of the list, so. Good enough. Yeah, folks want to get right into it. We have the minutes of September 3rd. Tom, have any punctuation corrections?
Well, you know, perfection is elusive,
It
but,
is.
in this case, Leslie has risen to the challenge. There is an error, but we were gonna let that go. But, it's as close to perfection as I've
I
seen.
think, I have a feeling that Leslie's doing it on, she's leaving an error and purpose somewhere, so you can find it, so you have purpose.
That may well be
I think that's, yeah, so,
forcing me to read every line.
all right.
I think she's challenging you, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is between Leslie and Tom.
I think I'm the one that's getting played here, really.
So Tom, are you saying you'd like to move the minutes?
Yes, I'd like
Is
to
that
move
what?
the minutes as written,
All right, awesome.
including
I'll
the
second.
punctuation errors.
Yeah, Daryl seconded, any, discussion? All those in favor? Okay, and so moved. Yeah, I know, I get all sidetracked there. So, all right, financials, we have payroll warrant number 11, and an AP 12. Everybody get a chance to look through
Yep.
11. Any questions on anything before? Move, okay, good. All right, I'll move, payroll, warrant 11.
Second.
And Tom, you seconded, okay, discussion, okay, hearing none, all those in favor? Okay, there, all right, we have accounts payable number 2, number 12, any concerns, any questions?
Yeah, I'm okay with it, with exception of the 500,000 fire. It's a little over our budget.
It was, well, we budgeted for it, so,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's a big one in there, so. All right, I'll move accounts payable number 12. Second, Andrew's gonna second, okay, any discussion? None, all those in favor? Okay, so moved, anybody, Andy, have anything come in last minute for any general correspondence?
Not that I'm remembering.
No, that's fine, you can always bring it up later if you remember it, so I don't see any hands up out there, is anybody out in the audience? Haven't seen anything, no, good, all right. Moving along, Andy was nice enough to put a manager's report together for us and, if anybody has any highlights or anything they wanna discuss in that report, just, shout it out and we'll go from there and say likewise, Andy, anything you wanna hit on for high points?
High points,
If they're all low points, you know.
I know, some folks were curious, we have that next business, meeting. Just an open kind of forum, for the business community to come and I was able to just put an email blast out to
Yeah.
the parking lot group mostly. I'd put a few of the businesses from that before. Hoping to get a few more folks at this one, just a general opportunity to come in and ask questions and see what for ways for us to connect with them and.
Yeah.
And how things are going.
I know, yeah, Dan, you had planned on going.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, okay, great, yeah. I couldn't remember, which day is it on? It's on
Monday.
Monday,
Next
right?
Monday.
Yeah.
This Monday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Whatever day is.
Yeah,
Whatever the day.
yeah, right, here at the town office at 8 AM, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And
So-
just on that upcoming meetings there is not, to my knowledge, a meeting for Monday, the 22nd, which might have been what confused Andrea. I didn't realize it was in there as the 22nd,
Oh, okay, yeah,
and historic preservation just met, so that I must have been off a week when I grabbed the
yeah,
calendar.
that would, yeah.
Got
That's
me.
probably what threw it off, yeah.
No.
Well, I had
Not
asked
hard.
too, so.
But on that note, I will say that, the Public Works Committee, the two towns, did meet, when did we meet? Monday?
Monday.
This past Monday.
Monday night.
And we're working on kind of honing in a little bit better a presentation for the two boards. Newcastle Kevin might aim to try and get theirs in front of their board this coming Monday. There's a fair amount still to do, so I won't be ready for anything at best until the first week.
But you have it
I gotta work with him on kind of finalizing some of those things. I mean, things like, kind of zeroing in the budget numbers, and one of the exercises we're working on is trying to understand in the summertime, if we're building the crew size to serve the winter need, it's certainly bigger than what we have currently in our department for come summertime. So trying to showcase what more will be getting done. Newcastle in a different situation than us, where they contract everything out. So trying to show that we can be more proactive in getting to the issues before people need to call, hopefully. And trying to, show the example of, like, if we're looking to hit like a best practice on ditch reclamation, and you've got X number of ditch in both towns, and you want to try and set that on a target to do X per year. If you're going to try and do, say, a 5-year clean out cycle, how many work days you need to dedicate towards that. What would that cost if you're going to contract it out? I think a lot of our challenge is that a lot of it's just not getting done. Until
Right,
it's
yeah.
like wrapped into a capital project, or it's been washed out, and then we address it. And so that, really just showcasing that we're going to be doing more. People will see the crew out there more in this proposal than we're used to.
Well, we talked about, the difference between, that particular system and what do we have for capital outlay that will actually be, in the operating budget now, like it's
Right.
getting done, so you're not putting, are we putting 10,000 a year or 15,000 a year into this to get it contracted to be done?
Mhm.
So they definitely have some work cut out to kind of, so a lot of it's a little bit of a guessing game. To
Mhm.
figure like, okay, this is a possibility, and it will pull that back out of there to see if it will work, so.
Mhm.
It was a good meeting. I missed the one before, and it was good catch up, and
Mhm.
but there's a lot of numbers there, so.
We started to talk about space needs and size of structures in total that we would need, and whether all the equipment needed to be in a heated space, or some of it could be just in a covered storage space with electricity, so you can plug in any diesel engines you want to plug in, or and that will obviously lower the cost quite a bit if you can park some of the stuff just under a roof instead of in a heated barn. So there's a bunch to it, and we're just trying to hone in so we can get both boards aware of it. And then if things look good for both boards, the idea would be then to do more of a community presentation on it and field the questions that are going to come with it. And hope that we have a good chunk of the answers ahead of time when you're all ready. But
It sounds like they're moving in a positive way, which has not been the case before. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about the case before
Well, I mean,
necessarily,
there was a
but
lot of doubt as to whether it was feasible, and
I think there's still quite gonna be lots of questions about the feasibility
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
The winter operation was kind of the question we went into it. Can we do the winter operations? We're at $1.2 million collectively for winter, and that's just to move the snow. And so the question was, can we do the winter operations for the same or less? The benefit of having it in-house is when it's not snowing or not moving snow is things like tree cutting or other tasks, whether it's internal in our facilities or else. And so how do you really quantify that added, say, benefit, but that added amount of work that can get done with the same budget? And then in the summertime, it's again projecting things that we just haven't been doing.
Could you do work for other towns in the summer as well?
I wouldn't recommend that.
No,
No, where they pay you under.
I wouldn't recommend it
Yeah.
unless you want to build a bigger crew, but
No, because if you're worried about, what I thought I heard was that the winter staffing was gonna be the highest need.
Yep.
For people, so.
Yeah, and they do it typically. What might happen then too with the models, like you have a higher staffing in the winter, but some of that might be part-time,
Okay.
or seasonal. So then, you might, let's say you had 10 people that worked all winter, and that might reduce to 6. Or in going into the summer, because you might have a few people that just plow or just drive,
Yeah.
but you still have that core group, so. You'd have a reduction there, but it's interesting, like, you still have a crew year round, not just in the summer, but you have stuff in the winter you can get done, and but it's gonna be tricky to put it all together, because there's a lot of stuff that you just can't really quantify. Say, what could we get done that we're not getting done? How do you put a number on that? How do you put a dollar amount to it to see if the math works out? And it's what would have been, obviously been easier, but they all came out and said, hey, yeah, the winter's gonna cost us less, and now we get all this extra stuff, and, but it's still, yeah, it's, I mean, there's options there, I mean, it looks like it's, I don't say doable, but, it'd be interesting how in next report, what comes out of it. It was, there was two residents, from Newcastle that were there too, that are, both have long history with state level public
Mhm.
works. And they were great, they chimed in on some stuff, and they were, I would say enthusiastic, but definitely, positive about it, saying, hey, this seems like a model that would work, because they've been involved in that, so
Yeah.
they kind of have it in a little bit, so, like Andy says, when we get to the point where there's gonna be public input, there's gonna be a lot of questions that hopefully we'll have the answers for, but there's gonna be a lot that we don't, and which, might be daunting, but it's gonna be good too, to get maybe some questions that, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that.
Mhm.
What we can do there, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
This may sound like a silly idea, but we have a lot of people in this town that work only in the summers. Chefs and wait staff or whatever. So those
Right.
people, if they may leave the area, may want to stay if they have a job in the winter.
Maybe 3 times. Yeah,
I'm
staffing is
thinking, I'm thinking like schooners or something like that. They
Yeah.
have, they have people that work there that don't work there in the winter, so where do they go? Would they want another job?
Yes, concept, cost estimate, and then how do you share the cost estimate, whether it's, so we talked a little bit about, looking at a couple other towns and how they share the cost of Chapel. Castle Hill, Chapman, and Mapleton's the one in particular. They have been operating as a 3-town entity for decades now. They have a cost share model for the general government operations and a different cost share model for the road department, public works work, and so using that one as a potential model, we ran it out a couple different ways. So I think that's one that's going to probably warrant a lot of discussion between the communities.
No, absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Tom can weigh in and how that's done with the ambulance service, and remind, like I said, there's a bunch of ways to look at it.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's a
2
very,
years on that contract,
Yeah.
it came up again, every meeting comes up.
Mhm.
it's a very similar, exercise, because you're
Yeah.
looking at, you can do, you got population and road miles and density, or
Yeah.
there's lots of different ways to, so that's gonna be a tricky one to surmount, but,
Right.
So just in terms of the timing, you said that Kevin's bringing it to hopefully he's trying to hit it.
That was
So
when
we
we
were
left
talking-
Monday, that was his potential target.
And how, so, and then you're gonna bring it here, we're gonna talk about it, and then what would be the next step after that?
I'm guessing, if the boards are open to feeling like whether there's more work needed, it might move it back to the committee, and if both boards feel like, okay, we're ready to really hold a couple public forums, I'm guessing we would do that.
Okay,
and you may, collectively, we all may have some more questions that would say, hey, back to the drawing board, and it's kind of hinges on that, what the next step might be, so.
I mean, all the meetings are public, but it's just a matter of the committee doing its working
Yeah.
portion of going through it, and then the select boards feeling like, okay, yeah, we think it's ready for, the proposal essentially, first version of it. But for folks to generally know, this is still very much a working concept, and we need feedback, and
Okay.
you need the buy-in before you can go to,
Yeah.
ready to go to a vote, so.
Should we be having anyone like write something in the paper about that we're doing this?
Did for a couple of weeks there.
Yeah, it was in the paper.
But nothing from a perspective, no, we haven't done it yet.
I wouldn't get ahead of your skis too much until we get to talk about it here anyway. It's still, because it's still not feasible, right?
It's still being put
I mean,
together,
yeah,
the plan's still being put
Yeah,
together, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot to flesh out on it, so,
We were gonna run out kind of looking at the long game of, the debt service being likely the biggest piece of, one of the big components of a payback model. Or cost benefit model is like, is there a point where it becomes a pay back to the communities? It's a long game in the
Yeah.
sense that you're not gonna see it in the first 5 years. But once you get your big investment paid off, like a school, you can reduce that debt service some and put some of that savings still into the reserve, hopefully, but some of it will just be a reduction. And that's the question is like, is there, in long term, is there a savings perceived for the community?
It almost seems like it would be longer than 5 with the startup cost
Yep.
of building, equipment. I mean, that's gonna be a big number for people to look at. I
Mhm.
think that's gonna be the tough one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
yeah,
Right.
it is, and that's the thing, it has to be. a long term, and there's, you know, like a 3 year. It just doesn't work. It does not work. It has to be extremely robust.
Yeah.
So that it plays out over 10 years or 15 years, and you know, unfortunately, it's gonna be very difficult to get out of it. Whereas the first time we did it was, you know, it was a much smaller agreement, and it was easy to get out, and it wasn't built out as robust, so. And, you know, it didn't work for lots of different reasons, so, but, so it has to be going into it, if any, you know, if the agreement's there, everyone wants to do it, it has to be, everything has to be worked out, you know, and these guys, you know, between Kevin and Andy, they have, we left the meeting Monday night, and I know Kevin said he wanted to get it to the board, like, and I did, in my opinion, that if we have a target date, but that's movable, so you guys both have a lot going on, so it's like, I get it, and I think we'd all rather have, you know, not, you know, we don't want something rushed, either one of you to rush through something and also
Right.
don't set yourself up with a deadline that's unrealistic, right?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing you wanna do is, you know, get to the point where you pushed it out there too, you know, before you had the chance to finish your thought,
And
and
then
then.
hurdles become roadblocks.
And I think we
Yeah.
both certainly expect lots of feedback and questions. We need it, and you know, in order to kind of, we gotta poke holes in what's out there and. You know, if the holes become too big, then maybe it doesn't work, but I mean, if it's
Right.
just like, hey, do you think about this? No, we haven't yet, we should, right? And
Mhm.
make sure those budget projections are the best we can think of, and trying to encompass everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the building size is gonna be, again, a big component where, you know, building costs, some of you might know, are pretty
Yeah.
substantial per square foot if you're measuring it that
Land,
way. And,
building costs, you know.
so there's still a lot to it, but it's a good starting point, at least to see if the community has a, you know, again, the questions they might have and a general support in that right direction or not. The idea was to try and have some sort of potential vote this winter. Because you're gonna need time to take that next step, and I think that next step, if you have the support of the community to proceed, would be preliminary design and cost estimates, you know, we can do non-engineered versions of this, but
Mhm.
you probably need to put something else in there and find a site and map it out specifically
Well,
for
and
that site.
and then we have, you know, there are timelines, because if you're looking at land and buildings and things like that, and it takes a year to get a building up, and then you have contracts that are coming up and for
Mhm.
renewal, so you know, you do have a little bit of a timeline to make that decision, so,
Mhm.
but it needs to be, right when you know, as complete as it can be when we talk to folks, because there'll be lots of questions, so, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a big undertaking.
Yeah. Well,
Can we talk about Trio just for a second, because
Sure.
I've had too many nightmares around. Trio and not this Trio, but other computer systems, and when systems aren't up to, you know, they're vulnerable and
Yeah.
all kinds of things can happen.
Right.
What's the worst case scenario?
All of our municipal processing of whether it's clerk's records, fee, you know, birth records or motor vehicle, you know, transactions, I mean, all of it's
Stops.
stopped if
Yeah,
that,
that's
if we
what I
can't
figured.
log into that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, you can
But
process.
you're not gonna lose the data, the history. You've got it, it's backed up, I presume.
As a part of like the annual audit process, those files are backed up annually. You can get the raw data back out of it, but you wouldn't be able to get it in that system most likely.
I'm surprised it's only annual. I mean,
Well, I think then the computer does a general backup, you could restore a version of it, but I mean, if you've lost the program, you're not gonna open it up in there. You have to remap everything manually. into a
the
new
data is
system.
more important than the program. The program can be fixed, but if you lose the data, you're.
Yeah, I mean, data wise, I mean, really, it's about the financial audits, and that's what you're doing is receiving everything. The data that's doing is really an accounting one, and once the audit gets closed, you've got what you need on the printouts. We print out every time we do a closeout for cash receipt, and, you know, and do a deposit, all that's printed and filed, and so we have, I guess, different versions of it. If we need a storage version of Trio, that is backed up and saved in the server, and then again, on a cloud server somewhere. But if the program, so I mean, we're not in danger necessarily, they just keep pushing us, they've been pushing this web transition for a few years now, and we keep putting it off, and they haven't fully stopped supporting the current version, and they're at a point now where they're kind of saying they're going
they
to.
are, yeah.
And so Newcastle's done it, Waldeboro just did it, and so we're kind of using them as kind of litmus for what to expect, and, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is just that it's just minor changes, a little bit more training, but it's still the same platform, it's just refreshed and a little bit different.
Yeah.
There's issues now, so doesn't really matter. There's still gonna be issues. They'll fix them.
Mhm.
The EV chargers, just note that the company had a hole in their civil team and they're planning on coming out next week, starting Monday. As long as the pole gets set, to install those, the underground work, starting Monday. So I can put a set of the plans in there so you can see what that looks like from them.
Yeah.
Had a mark out on the ground again where they were, the spots are gonna be a little narrow. You see some of those at 8.5. We're gonna narrow up a couple more, I think at 8.5. Just
Is
to
it
make,
laid up now?
I think it's chalked out.
It's chalked, okay, I haven't been over, I know.
I think it's orange, the yellow or orange chalk.
Okay, see ya.
So that hash there, that access aisle on the end, that's gonna come out just past the curb of front of the bathroom a little bit. It is just the access aisle.
Okay,
John and I talked about potentially painting a white line out in front of the curb, just to try and get cars to slide over a little bit,
yeah, continue it, yeah, I mean, yeah.
and then kind of force them
So are
over.
we gonna be able to get the accounting to charge for this at this stage?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
These are. network-
Yeah, these are all networked units where the cost of the, I think, we did 5 years, I can't remember, if it was 3 or 5, we bundled as part of the purchase price and grant, so. We're able to get some of that cost reduced through the 30C, that tax credit we'll apply for.
Yeah.
The units aren't in their possession yet, they'll likely be towards the end of October, so they'll do the underground work and. Cone off the conduit coming up, and then they can pull the wires through and set the bases, the units on the base, when they're in.
There's no, I mean, we've talked about policy and whatnot, but there's an existing one for the one that's down there. It never was one. I didn't think so. Yeah. So
Heads
that's-
up, Emerson.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, something we have to write from scratch to figure out, we've talked about where they're networked,
Right,
do you, if people's parked there, it should be plugged in.
Yeah.
And if they plugged in for like 6 hours, does it go, over 3 hours, it charges a different,
right.
but how do
So,
we enforce it?
I asked the gentleman it's been helping us with the revision about, we really need to do this, generally, we would have likely run out the business model beforehand.
Yeah.
Because it was presented at such a low cost to the town with the grant and the credit, we didn't worry as much about it, we said, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I think right now with the change order to move it to this location and the new pole being set, I think we were. So about 8 to 15 grand is estimated, I think, out of pocket. The rest of it's grant funded or tax
Yeah.
credit, basically a rebate from the IRS. And so, we add that to and kind of run a business model out. What's the construction cost? What's the offset? What's the expenditure annually expected to be? And then the revenue and kind of look at what that looks like. And I'm interested to see, if these are 10-year expected lifespans of these units, what's using today's price, I guess, what's that replacement look like? Can we generate that revenue in that time frame? The policy on like, okay, what do you do? What do you charge, if anything, for someone who, if 3 hours, the general accepted time limit for a car to be there charging, what's the penalty to stay longer? And you could, as long as they stay plugged in, you could run standby fee basically.
right, yeah.
He was saying some of the Tesla units that they have in places will charge they set it to charge $1 a minute in some cases, just to make sure the next one can get it. Those are the level 3 fast chargers. They want to make sure someone's getting it.
But that's.
It might be a little.
As long as they're plugged in.
Might be a little
If they're not plugged in,
The plug,
right.
it walks back to the restaurant or.
right, you need an officer or someone to go down there essentially and write a parking ticket.
You need enforcement, yeah, you need to actually.
Or tow.
physically be on
But the
site.
admin charge will go right on their account then,
Right.
and will
Oh, yeah.
come to us.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So do we have any nearby towns that are a model for how they price this?
I don't know if Booth Bays are in, I think they were going through the same process, use the same grant. I don't know if they've got theirs in operation yet, but yeah, there's towns out there that are
yeah,
certainly
maybe
using.
we're looking to see if there's an
Yeah,
existing
might-
policy.
Yeah,
instead
there
of-
might be some.
Yeah,
consistency
reinvent the
there.
wheel, okay.
Otherwise you'll hear, geez, I went
Yeah.
over to Booth Bay and it was half this price. And
But, yeah, it came up a little bit quicker than we anticipated them having an opening there.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I
Do
don't,
it.
yeah, I'm hoping they can get it all done. I mean, it sounds like they can now, but, it sounds like the credit's available for these through, I think, either March or April. Some of the 30C credit options were running out at the end of the calendar year, and they think ours is pretty certain to be available into the first quarter. But I said, we can get it done
This year is
before
good.
this year, that'd be good.
Right, yeah.
Just to be sure. Any questions on that? I do need to reach out to a couple of the property owners there, just to give them a heads up. We're gonna have to block off that parking, for most of next week while they're doing that work.
Yeah,
Well, they'll have entrance on the other side of the bathroom though, right?
Yep, for that property, yeah, they'll be able to get in and out of there, and I think assuming there, yeah. The commercial traffic to get the dumpsters and stuff,
Yeah.
they'll be able to slide in if they need
There
to,
will
but,
be access.
regular vehicles can still fit fine on the other side.
Yeah. Or need be, so. Great, okay.
Any other questions on what I had in there? I did give a brief overview of the grant. Darling Marine, Dr. Leslie's looking to go after. It's kind of a continuation of some of the same work they've been doing for the
Mhm.
river,
Yeah,
and collecting
that's great.
data.
Yeah, keep going.
So Kevin and I met with her
In there.
earlier this week and said, we'll write letters of support because the both town boards are interested in.
Yeah.
Continuing to find this information out, so.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, there are
Approval.
some juvenile soft shell clams on Westview, and Darling's down there on a regular basis testing, but
Oh, interesting, yeah.
they've been noticed by the clammers.
Mm.
They have not sizable yet, but they're.
Seem to be
coming
exist,
back.
yeah.
Glimmer of hope.
Mhm.
Nice. Okay, well, we can, we can move along, there's nothing else added there, we'll dive right into some action items here we have, and back to is anybody here from Best Buy, right? Or Blanchard, I don't see anybody,
Nope.
nobody coming in, right? Okay, I don't see anything that's up there, okay. So we do have a liquor license renewal for Best Tie.
Yep.
That's fine.
So I'll make a motion to approve the liquor license for Best Tie.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Andrea, seconded, yeah. All right, discussion? And then all those in favor? All right, and ooh, ice cream, everybody loves ice cream.
And this is for,
This is pretty,
Pumpkin.
that's a vending license, yeah. So, I think it's the first one we've had come through, right, for a
Yeah.
vending license.
I think so.
Yeah, so far for Pumpkin Fest, so it's good. Looks like everything's in order. They have the authorization for placement and, looks good there. So, I'll make a motion to approve the vending license for Blanchard's Ice Cream.
Second.
0 seconds. Any discussion? Yeah, hearing none. All those in favor? It was ice cream. All right, fire station reserve. All right. Come on up, chief. Yeah.
So I don't think we talked a little bit about this with the structural assessment, and before we did this work, we wanted to do that, and it's been in John's capital plan to work on the floor inside the Bay Area.
yeah,
So he's got a quote proposal here and a brief presentation you can share with the board.
Or Ron Roberts, the fire department, so. I don't remember if it was during the budget process, but we went over some of the challenges that we had with the floor with cracks.
Yeah.
I think it was in January, we had the engineering firm come in and do an assessment. They felt that the cracks weren't going to continue to grow and that they were likely from the curing process, and most of that with the age of the station should be complete. So we were kind of waiting for that before we invested in a floor treatment. So if you go to the next. We got estimates from Haskell and Hall. The engineering firm suggested going with a product from Green Umbrella and doing polished concrete. We'll get into that in a little bit, but we priced out Haskell and Hall. They came in around 85,000 to do an epoxy floor. And we priced out Bright Step a few different times. Most recently, we asked for the urethane cement epoxy option, which came back at about 44,000, and then asked for them to get the price on polished concrete. They gave 2 different prices for polished concrete, which range from around 35 to about 40,000. So we discussed it as the engine company and felt that the epoxy floor system would be a better option for several reasons. The first is the polished concrete. Basically what they do is they come and the first step for either option's the same. They're gonna shot blast the entire floor. You take angle grinders, fix the cracks, bring the surface down. When they go with a polished concrete, there's several steps of sealing the concrete, hardening the concrete, and then treating the concrete. And you end up having a very smooth surface and, it ends up being, just acceptable for the slippery, friction coefficient
Yeah.
when it's wet. Whereas, the epoxy, they'll put in some, grit to actually make it so that, there's a little bit more traction, especially when it's wet, because the floors will be wet quite often. And then there's also, less maintenance. The company, Green Umbrella was, when I talked to them, they said, we'd have to get a floor buffer, and those are like $12,000 to $15,000, and having to do those on a regular basis, which, is a
Yeah,
lot
who does
more
that,
maintenance
right?
than what we're expecting, plus, I believe it was either every year or every other year to do, a chemical treatment that Green Umbrella provides, so that was gonna be a lot more upkeep than the epoxy option. The other piece of it is with the epoxy option, they provided a price to do a integral cove. So what that is the cove will wrap the edge of the floor to the wall and then go up one tier of bricks. I'm not sure if I have any photos in here, but the first tier of bricks that we have, all the paint is pretty much coming off anyways, so this will, they'll treat that, take the paint off, and then they'll seal that whole piece, so that way the water's not going down into the cabin between,
Makes it into a tub, basically, yeah.
So this is kind of what an example looks like. We'd, if you approve, the recommendation, we'll go with probably a light gray color and then have red lines to mark where the trucks back up. The lines are really important because, they help us make sure the trucks are backing up straight. You don't really have a lot of reference points if you don't have lines before. So the timeline for the epoxy was 5 business days. The timeline for the polished concrete was at least 7. So we're a few days shorter. So the plan, again, if this gets approved, is we'll get some storage units there. We have to unload every single thing from the bays to have it clean for them. So we would do that on probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday beforehand, and then when the work's done, pick another weekend to kind of move back in.
And they're only saying a week to set up to get put equipment back in? Oh,
The epoxy
yeah, it
has
should be longer than that,
a
yeah.
little bit faster, curing.
Yeah.
We might wait a couple extra days, but
Yeah, I know it's changed a lot, but, yeah.
the storage units that we talked to Nate Powell, at Bristol. So those are 1 month rentals, so, having them for 2 or 3 weeks will.
Yeah.
We'll
Pause or whatever, yeah. Trucks are all sitting outside.
This may be a nit, but you said you're gonna have the lines to be red. You think that's the better contrast than the yellow that we see on the screen?
Think so. We have some samples at the station, we're holding the gray and the red together.
Okay, well, I was thinking that the yellow looks like it's pretty clear.
Yeah, but that's a lot darker gray.
Okay,
And
Ah,
we're gonna
alright.
go with a gray that's almost the same color as concrete because, the lighter the color we have, the brighter it will feel with the up above lights. There's some stations they've done red and yellow, and then it ends up being, pretty dark because you don't have any of that,
well, as usual, you're way ahead of me.
so I think you could,
Bring your seats, stuff.
I'm leaving.
You take that gray down, to a lighter color than the red has a little bit,
The yellow kind of disappears into it if it's, yeah, gotcha.
That is the last one.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of what our recommendation was. We had been, using a placeholder of 55,000 capital plan for this effort, so. The storage units, I think, are gonna come up to about $500. to rent, so that should be a consideration of.
So we should, yeah, with the estimate and then that added on.
And I think you want to.
Up to 50, just to make sure that, you know, in case something else pops up when they get in and start cleaning something
Yeah.
and find something, you know, what to come back and pause it. and Just to give them, like, whatever's not used stays in the reserve anyways.
And the reserve, you're right, and the reserve is pretty healthy still, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I did attempt to provide
Yeah.
You did.
on the memo.
Yeah, no, you know we're gonna ask, so, yeah. What's in the
and
account?
While I'm here, like station updates, the roof's supposed to get work done starting this weekend.
Oh, great.
And we've also been going through some of the uh. Clean station cancer prevention updates, so we've had Midcoast Energy in there, where we've got someone in building a wall for us and. We've moved a bunch of stuff around, so we're getting close. The next phase of it is
Nice.
some electrical work, which will be upgrading the standby generator. Cause the muffler's gone, it's really loud and it doesn't,
How
it's on
about
borrowed time, so I'm working with Andy to try to get an RFP together shortly for that piece of it.
Got to host a meeting over there once you guys get it all.
Yeah.
Fixed up,
Yeah,
see all the improvements.
oh, absolutely, yeah. I like field trips.
Certain Dave promised that he'd redo the sign if we can get it down.
Nice. All right, nice. Anybody have any questions for Chief Roberts? No, sounds good. No. As usual, he's got his
Got his stuff together.
presentation. So. Yeah, there you go.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, all right, I'll take the motion then, and nobody else wants to jumps in, so, I'll make a motion to waive bid requirements and to appropriate up to 50,000 from the fire station reserve for improvements to the fire station as presented.
A second.
Andrew seconds, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor? Okay, let's get that building fixed here,
I meant to mention, there's several departments that are looking at building new stations, especially in the Stonington area. And the cost
Yeah.
for those stations is over $10 million.
no doubt it.
So we need to.
So let's maintain it.
You need to maintain what we have.
We need to get ahead of stuff and keep it maintained, yeah.
Because the other option, I think it's crazy how much some of these smaller departments are looking at.
Yeah.
And station.
Yeah,
Readjust your reserve budget. Capital plan.
or yes, it's a big adjustment.
But that's going like 600, 550, 600 square foot, they figure now, or?
I'd have to look at some of the pieces and, I think they're spending $200,000 or $300,000 on architecture and engineering plans for trying to get stations in. And the other thing is, you know, trucks keep getting bigger, so a lot of the old stations, they can't even fit.
Yeah, too small, yeah.
Fit some of these, I think in Lawson, they got trucks that are like, they have to almost touch in order just to fit
Sure.
the station, so.
Are we okay?
We're very fortunate space wise right now, especially as we're downsizing the fleet long term, but. You know, I'm hoping that in the near future, we'll be able to talk more about the housing piece that we've. Kicked around a little bit.
Yeah.
And what impact that has, if that is immediately adjacent to the station or becomes part of the station, that might. Drive some of those conversations, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Great,
but for right now, we're just trying to make it so we can. Have some better cleanliness, take care of the gear a little bit better and have it be contained so that. We're not all going home with. The smoke products on us.
All right.
Right. Awesome. Thanks, Chief. All right, well, we can move into the next item on the agenda, the main PERS. Andy, give an overview on this one.
Yeah, so let's start with it, given that we're about to advertise for the chief's position, one of well, so with the main PERS, I mean, generally there's the main public employment retirement system. There's a bunch of plan options, which the sheet I printed out there behind the memo shows like. What, 8, 10 different plan options?
Right.
Generally speaking, the regular plans is where. Where we sit. The special plans, there are a couple of those options available to first responders. For those that are receiving the retirement benefit. Currently, all of our folks are in the AC plan. Under the regular. We had done a study a couple, year and a half ago, for the PD, to understand what the options would be and what the cost might be to. Consider the 2 or 3C special plan. Not proposing we move forward with that for the. Union folks, what we found out is there's an opportunity to do it by employee class essentially. By class, the non-union versus the union folks. So if you want to move a group into a plan, you can do that. The way the CBA is set up, the full-time officers excluding the chief are included in the CBA. So we would have the opportunity to, with this job posting, consider trying to make that as attractive as possible. We do lag behind in most cases for the PD in this retirement. That's one of our most stark, I think, differences when we put a side by each. Where the wage is down slightly, I think we tend to come ahead on the overall comp package with what we contribute for the health insurance premiums. And we made an adjustment for the time off accruals to be closer in competition with the neighbors around us. So the retirement for first responders, we do lack. I mean, those 2Cs and 3Cs, the difference is a no age penalty. Typically, where we are now is you can retire after 25 years working for us with a pension. But for every year, depending on when you entered, under 60 or 65, I think it is, or 62 and 65, it'll be 2% off of the 50% for every year under that age target. So it's not that you can't, it just will come with a penalty to the recipient. And so it just means someone would have to wait to collect that full pension benefit.
So if someone's the main cars let's assume the police chief's gonna come from another community. He's probably a police officer somewhere. And it's likely that he's in main cars over there.
Good chance.
Good chance. So if he comes in here with, let's say, 10 years of experience, then does he only need 15 more years? And does it depend upon what kind of plan he was in over there, if it was an AC?
Yeah, on
or
the payout, it would be when they come to retirement, it's still 25 years might apply, it just becomes a blended. Kind of benefit payout, and so there's a whole formula that they can run for us and model that per person, per scenario. I don't think I included. I did not include that, that was part of our study. They gave us some examples of what that blended payout would look like.
Yeah.
So in this case, any of these changes that the municipality would want to make for the plan offers requires a vote of the legislative body. So this will require a town vote on a warrant to consider allowing this change.
and as I read through it, it's more expensive.
It would be, so the 2C and 3C, it's about, I put in here between 1.9 and 3% as it's presented here. These are numbers effective through FY 26. So that'll be a reset again soon. So that's what the difference would be.
So it's 3% over whatever we're paying now.
3% increase, right?
So like some of the surrounding towns, Booth Bay, Camden, whatever, do you know what they're doing?
I don't have it specifically written down. I just know when we did the CBA last, we pretty much are one of the few in the AC plan.
When you talk to folks,
Yeah.
what's more important, health insurance or retirement?
I don't know if I've heard one say one's more important than the other.
Yeah. Well,
Actually,
but
it's-
if we're paying more for health insurance already,
Right.
then that's attractive.
Oh, yeah, the retirement for sure. I mean, if you're in law enforcement and most of the first responder in your career, in that, I mean, it's pretty attractive to have the 20-25 year option to get your full pension.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. I don't want to. You had a question?
No, my question, well, I did, but my question was, do the people that work for us in the town office, they are on this plan?
Not eligible.
Not.
No, that's a main first, that's a main first thing, and so the age, or the
So only police departments are eligible?
first responders.
First responders?
Yep.
Okay.
So typically your fire, EMS, police.
Okay.
Let me ask, because I don't know why, when I was reading through this, I just ended up with like.
Yeah.
All, and so, if this is for the police chief and everyone else is under a union contract. How likely is that the folks that are under the union contract will also want this at the next contract?
Highly likely,
Negotiation.
but they wanted at the last one and we didn't arrive at that.
Yeah, it came up in discussion. There were some different models then, but there was some,
Significant cost, so they have what they call an all service and future, basically only. And so it's either a complete look back, and so if someone's 10 years in. And you wanna increase, in this case, increase that plan option to a better, higher paying out
Yeah.
option, or have that no penalty on the time in. I think one of the examples for one of those to switch from AC to one of those was for every 3 years worked, you would have 2 years in on the better plan.
Yeah,
So it would mean someone has to work a little bit longer than what they might have been envisioning before, but it does allow them to retire at a younger age still after 25 years with a full benefit. And so there's a cost to the municipality or the employer if you wanted to offer to buy it, so it's 1-to-1. And they ran a study, so we knew what that was, and we ran a study and they looked at it to understand. I mean, there's no extra cost other than the annual going forward to go to the special plan option. But you're not gonna get like a 1-to-1. And so with the police chief coming in, it's not an issue in the sense of do we look back, because, you're starting with day
Yeah,
one when someone comes
buying
in. It just puts us on a level, more of a level playing field in terms of when someone's looking, and there might be more than one chief's option they're looking at, to keep us competitive. But I fully expect them, I mean, it was again.
Highly likely,
Last
yeah.
CBA, and so I imagine it's gonna be front and center on the next one.
yeah, just curious, there's the police. Committee search, and then there's the police chiefs group that's helping us do that. Have they commented on this at all?
I mean, they don't have a report done yet, but I mean, I'll tell you that we're lacking. The retirement, I mean,
Okay.
most of them around us are in one of the special options. When we did it last, I don't know of any that are in the AC for their. First responders, law enforcement in particular.
yeah, I think if I remember right, everybody was outside. That was like a one that just nobody
Right.
did anymore or something, so.
Yeah.
But there were several options at the time, but. I don't think there was a general consensus with the officers to make a move, so we kind of at that point, but I would agree with Andy that I think it is a highly likely. That the next contract negotiation they'll absolutely have that in there.
But
Yeah,
then-
special plan.
Yeah, but under these either 2C or 3C,
Mhm.
the employee also has to kick in more as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's on the lower part
Yeah,
there.
that's how I'm reading it.
So right now in the AC, the employees contribute 7.8%.
Yeah,
If they were in the 2C, they'd be a full percent higher, or 1.3% higher. Or 1.7% higher.
yeah,
And what about the fire department?
We don't have any full-time.
Oh, we don't have.
They get the LoSAP now. And then there's the Aflac policy, but not being a full-time employee, the pretty sure Maine Pros requires it be for full-time employees. I could be wrong in that, but.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
Ambulance services would be entitled, our current one that we're part of, because they're a 501(c)(3), they don't currently have access to this Maine Pros program, though they are. Attempting to do so, it requires legislation in their case, to
Okay.
make them eligible, unless they became a, department of a town essentially.
Do you have a rough idea how much this is gonna cost on an annual basis?
Yeah, so I put in the second to last paragraph on the page 35 there, that the.
Oh, yeah,
The impact of this current fiscal year would likely be
sorry.
around $1,500, give or take.
Yeah.
and full year's double that.
No, not quite, but close. I
Yeah.
think I figured we would have someone here potentially as early as in December. And so that would be 7 months paid in instead of
Okay.
just 6, so
Well, roughly.
Yeah.
roughly,
Yeah.
yep.
The rough.
I mean, if you were at $100,000, just say for easy, math,
Right.
you're $3,000 more.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's right, though. I think it's gonna be attracting a, a qualified candidate, without having the ability to at least to make a change in that.
Right.
In those plans, it's gonna be difficult, yeah.
If that's what they're getting now, and we want someone good and qualified, then we can't afford not to.
That's my position. I mean, we know we're behind in it when we did the
Yeah.
study last and looked at the last CBA. It just happens to be that we can potentially do this impacting the one non-CBA entitled person in the department. Have access to it, and we can take up the folks in the CBA at the next
It's
negotiation.
gonna be next round, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
So what do we do?
We make a motion.
Yeah, right now, I'm
Yeah.
looking to see if this is something the board's willing to consider, and if so, then I'd,
You have to do it.
for the next meeting, have a draft warrant for you
Yeah.
to sign and. You can take that forward with the special town meeting.
Yeah, I think we have to open up that flexibility, so.
I mean, my vote is that we don't have a choice. We have to get the most qualified person that we possibly can.
Sounds like you're gonna make that motion.
I-
You're almost there, Andrea.
So yes, and I'm just writing.
I got it right.
Oh, fine, I will make a motion to approve the consideration to adopt an
We'll do that, we'll skip down that one, yeah.
from the plan from AC to a special plan.
All right. Yeah, I think you got it.
You read the first line from the
The
first.
first time, put it together. You got it, Leslie, all right.
Thank you.
Made it company.
Promise I won't look at dots and minuses and pluses.
Andrea has a motion there, do we have a second? I'll second, any discussion?
I'll just say for the next meeting, when the warrant's considered, I'll have better information between the two, just to make sure it's concrete, because I'm just going off of memory on these ones, but just to fully flesh out for conversation's sake to know. And then that warrant, when you set it, you can specify exactly which plan it would be. But this sets me on the track to know that I can draft the warrant,
In effect, we're not doing anything other than saying, keep going.
right?
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed?
Well, no, I'm not opposed,
No.
but the argument against it is cost, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a
So,
huge cost.
Well, but now I'm
But it's
thinking of it
cost,
time, it's not just times one person, it's times, I'm thinking it's times 4 or
You mean
5.
because
Right now it's
we're setting a
one.
precedent?
Yeah, I
One
know,
right now,
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like Candace is setting a precedent.
But it is setting a precedent.
I don't think you have much, frankly, I don't think you have much room for negotiation down the road.
Yeah,
I
right.
truly don't think you do.
Yeah,
Yeah, so look at number of officers we have and
And-
take that number times that number and.
Not quite that high, but
Or do
Close,
all the
yeah.
other police departments around us do the same thing?
I will get you in the future more concrete information on that. I just know when we did the last CBA, we were grossly behind in terms of being able to compete with the main PERS. A lot of them, when they're in this field, are looking for that no age requirement to retire.
But,
And
yeah,
we're the only
just
one in
the-
our area that we looked at that
well,
didn't have it.
that information is gonna be even more important when you have.
I'll give him a second here, so I just call for both, but it's.
Yeah, you have to answer that, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
So I did just, so we don't get off track, we call for both, there's 4.
No,
You
that's
wanna-
fine.
No, I'm, yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
say, okay.
but I just.
Yeah, so we do have.
want people understand what.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was following just before we got off on the track, so I wasn't pressuring, I just want to make sure
No,
it's
no,
fine.
no, one opposed?
I get it.
No.
No, it's
No, it's unanimous.
unanimous.
Oh, okay, fine,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, no, but Dan just had another question, which it's, yeah, it's warranted because it is going to, I mean, I think I don't say dodged a bullet, but the last CBA, I think both of this, like going into it, we fully expected there to be some changes there and it didn't happen.
Well-
But there was,
Acknowledging there were a lot of other changes that happened.
no, I know, I'm not saying no changes,
It's
but
absolutely there.
but specifically in that, yeah, right, there's other changes, but with the
I think the
retirement
total
stuff.
package and what we were proposing at the last negotiation couldn't do all of
Right.
it, period.
Yeah.
And so it was basically tabled for that particular contract and,
So we kind of ended up paying money, this is gonna come back around in 3 years and.
I mean, the reality was, folks still earning and working still had the ability to build up to their 25 years and there was still a pension after 25 years. It was just the penalty would exist if they
Yeah.
chose not to want to work again.
Yeah, and I understand too that, this idea of 25 years in police, that's a long time. and
Yeah.
physically, but, you know,
Yeah.
by the time you get to your early fifties,
Yeah, you know, full-time in emergency, emergency management is relatively stressful line of work to be
it
in.
appears to me.
Even part-time, it's,
Part-time, sorry,
yeah,
So it's probably as
I got
much,
26 year.
yeah,
fire is,
yeah. And it's, yeah, you get, I mean, it's very intense and stressful, oh. Yeah, I burn all right. What else you be doing?
is the other thing.
All right. Well, moving along, next order, the order of municipal officers, tax payment allocation.
we realized we hadn't done this yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But the law allows the board to direct the tax collector to put payments against the oldest unpaid bills for that account when it comes forward. What this typically would happen is property transfers, tax bills assessed to the former owner, the new owner says, I don't want to pay on the old one, but it doesn't behoove them not to, because that's the one that's gonna be leaned eventually, you know, in the short term. So this directs the tax collector to make the payment for that account. The
Yes,
oldest.
do you want a motion to move this? Or-
I think, yeah, we wanna go to then,
Yeah, I'll move the order of municipal officers, I don't, you have to read the whole thing.
You don't need to read that.
As, just,
Presented,
Yeah, yeah.
as presented.
I would say, I think we use it just as 80%, I'm fine with that too. Great, Stan's made a motion, do I have a second? Daryl's gonna second, any other discussion, all those in favor? Okay, motion moved. All right, so then we visit some